you very much.
That's what we'll need to do. We got the...
Ladies and gentlemen, we have your attention. We start the program. Coming up right now, the Color Guard from Long Beach, AOH Division 17, St. Brendan the Navigator, followed by the pipe and drums of Gord McGale. AOH Division 14, pipe and drums. Very nice. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. We're here to celebrate the 175th anniversary of this monument behind me, the Mariners Burial Site. I want to recognize a few people that are here. I would like to thank Todd Kaminsky, the Assemblyman from Long Beach. I'd like to thank our Senior Councilman for the town of Hempstead, Tony Santino, who's here. We also have the mayors of Lynbrook, Billy Hendricks. We have also the mayor of East Rockaway, Bruno Romano, and his deputy mayor, Teresa Gaffney. We also have the mayor of Rockwell Center, Fran Murray. We also have a trustee from the village of Lynbrook, Anne Marie Reardon. And we will have a blessing a little later on by the Father Ryan Kramer, who's here from St. Agnes Cathedral. I really want to thank you all for being here. This is a moment, and I see Assemblyman Brian Curran is here. Thank you, Brian, for coming here. It was a long trip from across the street, I guess. But it's really great to have you all here because this is really, truly an historic Irish-American event. My co-chairperson here, Art Mattson, you know, he's the history. He's the one who provided all the information for me. I'm really just a facilitator. But when you think about it, 175 years, Irish-American. What is Irish-American that's 175 years old on here on Long Island? So with that said, I just want to acknowledge, I'm just one person, Art's the other, but it's all you people out there that helped. If you have a program, you'll notice that there's a number of people who contributed by way of donations, by way of work. So this is something that belongs to all of us. And it's a memory of those people that came here many, many years ago. With that said, I'd like to introduce Art Mattson. He's going to talk about the monument here in the cemetery. He's the historian of Lynbrook, and they played a great part in this. So, hello, Art. One second. I'd be remiss if I didn't have our distinguished singer here, Ed Deasy, come up and sing the anthems of Ireland and America. Eddie?
Thank you, Andy. We we'll sing a song, a soldier's song in cheering, arousing chorus, and around the blazing fires we throng, the starry heavens o'er us, impatient for the coming light, and as we wait the morning light, here in the silence of the night, we'll chant a soldier's song. Soldiers are we, whose lives are pledged to Ireland. Some have come from the land beyond the sea, born to be free, no more that ancient silence shall shelter the despot or the slave. Tonight we'll match the enemy in Erin's cross-tossed war. We'll bid cannons roar and rifles peal. We'll chant a soldier's song. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail, that the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, made proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Play ball.
Where do we get a million?
Thank you, Eddie. Eddie made the trip here from Breezy Point. Part of the Rockaway connection to this event here today. With that said, Art Matson.
Yeah, Breezy Point. We have connections here historically as well. We have Freeport is here, their historical society. And I'll mention Freeport in a bit because the hero of the wreck of the Mexico was Rainer Rock Smith from Freeport. You're holding the image up over there. And Long Beach, the site of the wreck of the Mexico. The Historical Society of Long Beach is here. And also we have from Limerick and East Rockaway, the Historical Society of East Rockaway and Limerick. So not just Irish organizations, we have historical ones. And I am the historian of the village of Limerick and also a director of the Historical Society of East Rockaway and Limerick. Well, today marks the 17th of these ceremonies that I've been involved in. This is, I think, the most meaningful one for me. Certainly is the largest crowd we've had. I've had crowds of 10. We invited all 10 over to my house for coffee and donuts. You're not coming over there. But you will be going down to McQuaid's perhaps later. Is that all set up, Andy?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. So, as I said, this is the most meaningful to me. And there are a few reasons for that. One is the spectacular job that, Andy, that you've done in setting up this place. And with the pipers, we've never had anything quite like that here. It's just absolutely wonderful.
Wait till next year.
Wait till next year. Okay, we could be kicking off something big here, because this is truly something that belongs to everyone on Long Island. Now, it was the other reason why this is so meaningful, of course, is that this is the 175th anniversary of this monument. And I want to tell you today about how this monument is connected to this graveyard. Now, this year is particularly important because only 1 month ago, after a year's hard work and a 40-page application to New York State, this monument and this cemetery have been placed on the New York State Register of Historic Places. And by the time we have our ceremony next year, I think it'll be on the National Register of Historic Places. So this mass grave of 139 people will finally get the true recognition that it deserves. I need to adjust this mic a bit. In fact, that honor of the National and State Registry, it makes clear what I've known for so long, that this monument, this graveyard, cemetery, the mass grave, are among the most important places on Long Island and its history, New York history, Irish American history, and United States history. And I feel that today, and certainly Andy Ollis that we have behind us points it out, this is more a celebration than it is a ceremony. And I also want to thank the other members of the ceremony committee, Madeline Pearson and Pat Simpson. Thank you very much for helping out. Also the owners of the ceremony, who have been tremendously helpful, repairing the monument. You can't even see it, it's down below the monument, rebuilding the base, and also the landscapers. And maybe Andy, you'll be talking about Rocco Mazzeo and his company that's done this beautiful landscaping. Now I want to tell you about, first of all, the wonderful cemetery that this monument sits in. Then I will get to the monument. It was established as a Methodist cemetery in 1791, 224 years ago, a long time ago. Back then, East Rockaway, Limbrook, Rockville Center didn't exist. We were called near Rockaway. It was just a kind of a location within the town of Hempstead. This was the only cemetery for miles around. And so it became the natural burial place for the people of this area, the people who lived here. And so there is, for example, just over by the wall is the grave marker of Wright Pearsall. He was the founder of Limbrook, which became known as Pearsall's Corners. A little bit down the line here, there's a marker for Mordecai Rock Smith. The rock in his name was that became the basis for the name Rockville Center. And behind us are the Davisons and the Rames and all the important people who owned grist mills and boat yards in East Rockaway. So you can see this really was the central place for this area called near Rockaway. But those people, some of the names I gave you and others, are inextricably and forever linked to this monument. And I'll tell you how. Now the first ship to be wrecked was the Bristol. The first of the two immigrant ships, with passengers, 3/4 of whom were Irish. It wrecked at Rockaway Beach. 100 people drowned just 400 yards from shore when the ship was driven onto a sandbar and huge waves blasted into the ship, knocked off the hatch covers, and filled the hold with water. 100 people, many of them women and children, drowned, and it was said minutes on that ship. So what did the residents of Queens County out there, no one lived out on that peninsula at that time, but they did live in Rockaway. They did rescue some people, and the captain was indeed the last to leave the ship, and women and children got off first. But of those 100 bodies, they began to roll ashore. And from the sand dunes, men came down and robbed the bodies, first of all, even cutting off fingers and earlobes to get at rings and earrings. And then they hastily buried those people in what you could call a potter's field, in the sand on that peninsula. But why did they do that? Well, that same year, in one of the most important New York newspapers, Irish immigrants were called, and I quote, a pestilence, degraded, vagrants. So they didn't care. They just left them in a potter's field out there. But something very different happened here in near Rockaway, and all the way over to Freeport. When the Mexico's bodies washed ashore, and they had died in a terrible, terrible fashion, on the deck of the ship, in 3 degrees cold, they had frozen overnight because the captain had fled the ship in the first rescue boat when a hero from Freeport, Rainer Rock Smith, had gone out to rescue them. The captain and the crew jumped into the rescue boat, leaving the men, women, and children behind. They were too weak from having starved for 9 days. The rope that had been left attached to the rescue boat was coated with ice to twice its thickness. There was no one strong enough to pull that rescue boat back, and no one willing to go out because it was so dangerous. And so they froze to death overnight. So when those bodies washed ashore, the people from around here were truly upset about it. They saw the Hope family from Dublin, 4 children. They saw the Hayes family from Cork, 2 very small kids. And the Peppers from England, 5 children. These were the kind of people that were rolling ashore, frozen like logs. So upset. I'm still amazed that the local residents, what they did back in January 1837, when those bodies arrived. Then those local residents are the people you see in these gravestones. They're the Hewletts and the Cornells and the Abrams and the Pearsalls and all those people that are here. Now remember, the inhabitants of this area were Protestants, almost all Protestants. But the immigrants that had washed ashore were Catholic. The residents that were here were all native born, almost all. These were all immigrants from another country. But they didn't behave here as they did out in Rockaway. They washed the dead. They dressed them in funeral clothing. They formed a funeral procession, 300 farm wagons, and buried them here, in this ground right here. 130, well, I think about 60 first, or 70. More and more bodies washed ashore. And then, not content with that, they went out to Rockaway. And they took those bodies from that potter's field, and they carried them here to this spot and buried them with dignity. The total 139, and they lie under us here. And then, instead of robbing the bodies, as was done in Rockaway, they took that money and they collected money from the residents around here, gathered it together until they had enough to create this monument. The monument was carved as it's white marble. It's not that today. It's not so white. And we don't want to clean it up, because if you try to clean it up, you damage it. And we want it to look the way it is, aged as it is. Brought this down to East Rockaway and then up here and set it up as it sits today. And if this monument hadn't existed, if the people around here, you see their gravestones around here, hadn't done all this, we wouldn't have this ceremony today. There'd be a flat piece of ground here. The wooden crosses would have gone. No one would know exactly where it is. But this monument was here when I first came across it 30 years, 40 years ago. I started to wonder why it was here, and no one knew. And so I began to research it and ended up writing a book about it. And during my research, I ran into a guy named Eddie, I forget his last name, Eddie O'Reilly, and said, hey, this is a connection to Ireland, and let's have a ceremony. That started at 17 years ago, and now it's culminated in this wonderful event we have today. So I think that what we think about today is both the courage of those Irish families to come here, very brave to cross the Atlantic on these rough ships, kind of coffin ships, and also the people that helped create this monument. I think in both cases we have people with their bravery, their courage, their love of their fellow man that we can emulate. And as I look around here, I think we have a lot of the successors to those people are here today. So thank you very much. And now I think we'd like to unveil some of these historical signs that we've been fundraising to create these, and we want to invite a couple of people up to help us with the unveiling, and Pat Simpson and Madeline Pearson from the Historical Society.
I'd also like to invite up Timmy Miles, who's the president of Nassau County AOH, and Donald Mahoney, who represents the Irish government. If you go over to the Irish flag over there. And in your programs, ladies and gentlemen, I just have to really mention there's a number of people that made this happen. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, the Ancient Order of Hibernians, Irish Northern Aid, the O'Keefe Foundation. We have a representative here from the O'Keefe family, Tim O'Keefe right over here. Sean and Cindy O'Rourke, I see Sean's right over here. Thank you, Sean. The Irish Americans of Government, Malloy College Studies Institute program, the Historical Society of East Rockaway and Limbrook, Bob and Carrie Garano, the grave owners here, a tremendous part. Again, all that we've done here could not have been done without their official yes. All right, they are the biggest partner. It might have been the Historical Society and the AOH, but make no doubt about it, without the owners of this gravesite, or this cemetery, we could not have done anything, so we really owe them a debt of gratitude. P.J. O'Rourke and Rocco Maggio. Rocco is from Bashi Village Landscaping. Where are you, Rocco? I know you're here. Right over there. It was his design. He did all this, so it's really a beautiful job. Thank you, Rocco. Brehon Law Society, AOH Division 17, St. Brendan Navigator. Linda Davis Matthews, Dermot and Pat Kelly, Patricia and Robert Simpson, and NGL Jeff Greenfield, whose office is across the street also. He had to look at something really nice. He didn't like what he was seeing, so he chipped in and made this even nicer. We have Nora and Art Matson and John Manning, who's a New York State AOH treasurer, and John Giordano. I'd also like to say at this moment we're going to unveil the signs. Now, these signs are the story of what happened. One's about the Bristol, one's about the Mexico, and the one in the center here is basically the story of the tragedy that happened, and if you will, the good that came out of that tragedy. And also at the bottom, there's a picture of the monument, all four sides, because as Art said, you can't read the inscription up there anymore. But if you want to know what the inscription is, it's here on the permanent plaque. So these are going to be here forever. And what's great about this is going to be something we're going to have, we envision Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts and classrooms coming around. This is part of Irish history here and the history of Limbrook and Rockville Center and East Rockaway. So it's a great thing. With that said, I'd like to do the unveiling here. Each grab a clip. Ready? 1, 2, here we go. I would like to have Father Brian Kramer come up here and give a blessing to this site here. I think this is appropriate. A lot of people passed away here. It's a memorial service as well. Father from St. Agnes Cathedral.
help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Lord our God, give to this site, as a commemoration of the souls of the just, your blessing. May it be a sign of inspiration for us who go forward and inspire us to pray at all times for those who have gone. May it be a sign of hope, and may the continued work and care which is poured into this place always continue with your blessing. Bless this monument now, you who are Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And in silence, let us now remember those who passed away on the Bristol and Mexico. May they rest in peace.
Amen.
Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord.
And may perpetual light shine upon them.
And may the souls of all the faithful departed,
Through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.
in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Coming to the end of our ceremony here, but I just want to remind you that this is the end of phase 1. Yes, I said phase 1 because we're going to come back here next year, and as Art had mentioned, we're going to celebrate a couple of other items. At that time, we will have the official proclamation from the state for the landmark status. We also will have, at that time, the national landmark status. And the other surprise we're going to add on, we're going to put a brick wall around here. Because what happened was, somebody had sent me an article on the 100th anniversary of this monument. And in that article, which was basically 75 years ago, there was a picture of this monument. And at that time, it had a brick wall around it. Now, we only got that article about 40 days ago. It was just a little too much to rush into. Art and I and the people on the committee have spent over a year and a half planning this. So we didn't want to rush into something so quickly. So phase 2 will be next year when we put up a brick wall, and we'll also put up a permanent plaque, a bronze plaque of all the donors who helped out here. So I guess what I'm saying is, for those who didn't get in the program this year, you have an opportunity next year to get into the program. And I know who you all are. So, with that said, I really want to thank you for being here. For me, it touches my heart that the Irish come out on this, the Historical Society. And we all have a connection here one way or another. And it really means something to me. I know it does to Art. And I'm sure all of you have learned something here. And I'm going to talk about Art's book real quick. He has a book. It's a great book. It's Fire and Ice. It talks about the whole story and just a little snippet you got here. But I highly recommend it as a great Christmas gift. So we'll have it at McQuaid's later on. And you're all invited to come down to McQuaid's, which is right down the road. So I hope to see you there. And anything else, Art?
No. Other than if anyone does buy the book, a substantial part of the money will go to this event for next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for being here. I'd ask you to stay in place. I'm going to ask the colors to be retired, and the band will play the Gary Owen and the Amazing Grace on the way out, I hope. All right?
Well done.
Thank you for being here. Great day for the Irish, right? Let's hear for the Color Guard of St. Brendan Navigator, Division 17. And let's hear for the Piper Drums of Division 14, Lauren Miguel. Thank you all for being here. Come on up and take a look at these signs. Thank you.
Today's ceremony is in celebration of the 175th anniversary of this marble monument being in the Rockville Cemetery. And just a month ago, it was designated, both the monument and the cemetery, as New York State Historic Registers places. So that's quite an honor, and it will be placed on a national register next year. We've had a tremendous outpouring of support here, both from people who have contributed for the landscaping and for the pipers that have come out, and a singer. It's just been a fabulous, fabulous event today. It's grander and more wonderful than any we've had in the 17 years that I've been involved in this, and I'm just really pleased about it. Next year we hope to have as good an attendance, and it should be great then. We'll actually, at that time, you should be awarded the national registry as well. We really only have the New York State right now. The application process began a year ago. There have been meetings with representatives from the New York State, oh, now I'm forgetting what they're called. It's the Department of Parks and Preservation. So I've been meeting with them over the past year as they've been guiding me through the application process, which took a 40-page application. And finally, we did get the approval just last month, and I'm very proud of having been the principal person in doing that. It's important that this have the attention of Lynbrook, East Rockaway, and Rockville Center, because the people who are buried here in this graveyard were so instrumental in creating this monument, using money that they took from the bodies of the Irish immigrants who died and froze to death back in 1837, and also raising their own funds. And they clearly had in mind that this is something permanent here that should be remembered for a very long time, to stick a huge marble obelisk like that here. And it's worked. Had this not been here, I would never have known that there was a mass grave of 139 people. It would have been just a space in the ground, maybe, probably with new graves dug on the site. So it's important for two reasons. One is that it's the bravery and the courage of those men, women, and children who took these not very good ships across the Atlantic Ocean, cargo ships actually, not passenger ships, and ended up losing their lives. But then it's the people who lived here back at that time who thought enough about the sacrifice these people had made to put something that would memorialize them. And the impact that the dead had, they did not die in vain, because so many things came about in the way of maritime regulations to make a crossing of the North Atlantic so much safer.
Hi, my name is Andrew Healy. I'm the co-chair of this event with Art Mattson. I am the chairman of Charities and Missions for Nassau County AOH. And I guess we're here to talk about this monument. It's a wonderful monument. It's 175 years since it's been put up. And as chairman of Charities and Missions, I was tasked with trying to get this thing back in shape. It's been a labor of love for me and the AOH. I could show you pictures, unfortunately, but I don't have them here now. But this was nothing but a dirt mound and a stone. It was neglected for many, many years. And over the last 17 years, Art Mattson got me involved. And we had this idea that, if we wait till this year, in 2015, it would be the 175th anniversary. And with that said, that's a magic number for marketing. So we planned for a couple years. We had great help. Rocco from Bocce Landscaping had a great idea here. We worked with him. We worked with the cemetery owners, Bob and Carrie, who were instrumental in helping us get here. The signs are graffiti-proof, weatherproof, and they'll be here permanent. These are permanent markers to match the permanent monument that started 175 years ago. This is the biggest turnout we've had. We had over 125 people, and we had some great guests here. We had Eddie DC from Breezy Point, and there's a connection there because of the Rockaways, and they sang the national anthems. We had people from Long Beach, and there's a connection there because one of the ships went down to Long Beach. We had Sen Brendan, the navigator, AOH Division 17 here. So all in all, it was a great day, and it brings us all back to our roots, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Thank you. We're here today at the cemetery, Rockville Center Cemetery. We're honoring the Irish dead from the Bristol and the Mexico. We've heard there's 139 people buried right below us, and they had terrible experience coming to this country, and it's become a state award cemetery, and later on it's going to be a federal one. So we're very happy that this cemetery is talking about Irish history, and it's located right between Rockville Center and Limerick. Right?
Yes. Thank you. It's a pleasure of me, the Mayor of Rockville Center, to be here today with my colleagues, other elected officials, for this historic event of recognize Irish Americans who died in 2 horrific boating accidents. I want to thank Mr. Mattson and Mr. Healy, their hard work and dedication to make this day happen. They worked for a year and a half to make this day happen, and I really appreciate all of us coming together to remember all of our Irish people who passed away in these 2 horrific accidents. Thank you.
I want to start off by actually making sure that we thank Art Mattson and Andy Healy on the fantastic job that they've taken to make this day such a special day, and honoring the memory of all of those lost on the Mexico and the Bristol, and making sure that 175 years after these 2 tragic shipwrecks, that we take the time to honor the people that were lost here. And I want to thank both of these mayors for hosting this event. And it's a great day for the Irish to remember our tradition and our heritage. And this is just another event that shows that. So thank you.